with my body. I don't want liberals telling me what kind of toilet paper I have to use. I don't want statists telling me what kind of milk and food I have to drink and eat. I do not want Mayor Bloomberg telling me what kind of soda, how big or how large I have to drink, or how much salt I can consume. If I want to be 700 pounds and die at age 40 with a heart the size of a cantaloupe, that is my right, and it's a beautiful thing. This is the only country in the world where that's acceptable, and it's something we should respect. If you want to live a completely ridiculous life where you kill yourself eating fatty foods and smoking cigarettes and doing drugs and hiring prostitutes, because let's face it, you're 700 pounds and no one will have you, that's your right. It's America. What you want to do with your body is up to you. I mean, how hard are these principles to understand? If I want to shoot heroin and end up on the streets, let me. The great benefit of this is that you'll have one less idiot who wants to shoot heroin from being a boon on society. It's ridiculous that we think that we should make drugs illegal because people will begin using them all the time. The only example we have, the only mathematical, empirical, scientific-based example, the only fact-based example we have is Portugal. Portugal made all drugs legal. And you know what happened? Drug use went down. People used less drugs when it was legal. Overdoses went down. Drug-related crimes went way down. When they stopped treating drugs as contraband and started treating addiction, people were more likely to get help before they became cracked out fiends. Plus, you don't have meth caves where people are building meth labs in barbecue pits and blowing up their children. There are businesses run by people who don't smoke crack or who are gang members carrying guns around shooting up neighborhoods for territory. No, just legitimate businesses that produce drugs. And you know what? They make money and they pay taxes. Granted, I think it's evil that they're paying taxes, but that's hardly the point. The point is, you're removing the criminals. You're no longer spending money on prosecuting people who are doing drugs. And on top of that, you don't have all of these people becoming a burden on society because they had pot in their pocket or because they had a couple of rocks of meth. Who cares what people want to put in their bodies? Now, if you're one of these people that come out and says, well, meth has side effects and it makes people dangerous and et cetera, look, just remember that while you can sit there and say that meth is dangerous, meth does this, or PCP does this, or roid rage, or, marijuana drivers are going to kill babies, just remember that people say the same things about Christianity. People say that Christianity is evil and it indoctrinates children at an early age. People also say that gravy is going to kill you and you shouldn't be able to have gravy on your food or feed it to your children. People also say that you shouldn't be able to let your children drink soda or eat Happy Meals at McDonald's. And they think it's bad parenting and it's dangerous that people allow it to happen. I want you to keep that in mind. Every time you talk about what someone can or cannot put in your body, there is somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum, somebody on the Democrat, socialist, communist side that would ban so many more things using the same train of thought. The same logic allows these Democrats to exist. So long as we have conservatives and even some libertarians, not many, but some libertarians, some constitutionalists that think drugs should be illegal because they're scared of drugs, you're going to have them sanctioning the ideas of Democrats to stick around. And that's what you're doing. In effect, when you allow for flawed logic when you allowed for flawed logic, because it's the only kind it is, flawed logic to dictate some laws that we should have in this land, which are based on principles that the government can tell you how to live your life, you sanction the right, or I should say not the right, the ability of Democrats and people who have Democrat ideals to exist. You sanction it. These people are around. These people are in power. And these people are doing a better job of spreading ideas to children and young people than you are. Because you will let them. If it became a ridiculous notion in this nation that the government could tell you what you put in your body, Democrats would become a dying breed. The idea that people could regulate someone's life, such as homeschooling, such as interfering in religion, it would become nonsense. These people would be laughed out of the political system. The Democrat Party would be completely consumed by something else. It would be devoured. It would be Republicans and Libertarians. Because all of these Democrats, the majority of Democrat voters, they're not these mooch people that everyone seems to think. They're people who vote on social issues. They're people who vote on things like gay marriage and pot. Okay? Gay marriage, pot, and abortion. That is basically the driving thing for Democrats. It's not economics. Because, of course, Democrats cannot win or even have the conversation on economics because, quite frankly, they're dumb. It's obvious that Democrats don't have a grasp of economics. They used to, back when Democrats were like JFK, but nowadays they have no idea. Nowadays, it's their obliviousness to economics is glaring and obvious. But they don't have to win that conversation because conservatives make it easy for them by thinking that it's okay to run people's lives. They think it's okay to deny a government contract binding two people together for life, or that will require them to give up half their junk if they get divorced. That's a real thing, and that's what it boils down to. The idea that Republicans are going to lose elections, the idea that liberty is becoming a thing that's disappearing faster and faster in this age of the NSA, is completely the fault of people who refuse to acknowledge the principles of liberty, which I think most of you sitting there listening right now believe in these principles of liberty. I think most of you are sitting there saying, I wish the government will leave me the hell alone. I think most of you are sitting there saying, Obama, get the hell out of my internet. Get the hell off my computer. Get out of my phone records. Get out of my children's lives. Get out of my doctor's office. I believe you people sitting there listening to this believe in that wholeheartedly. And yet, for some reason, you don't follow through on these principles. And it's not your fault, because it wasn't okay to do so in regular society years ago. Many of you are older than I am, and that's just how it has been, and that's how it was. And many older people today still find it ridiculous to support liberty completely. However, that time's over now. It's done. It is now perfectly acceptable to be a libertarian. In fact, libertarians are winning places in office. I mean, look at Ron Paul out of Texas. Look at Rand Paul in Kentucky. Look at Justin Amash. Justin Amash is the greatest politician in Washington, period. He posts every single vote and why online for everyone to see. He is the most transparent person in Washington. And yet, for some reason, most people haven't heard of him. And it's because people don't appreciate liberty like they should. It's a very, very, very sad ordeal. That's why principles are important. Because if you can trace and follow through with your principles, then all the decisions become clearer. You become smarter. Political issues don't become complex at all because you understand them on a base level that makes it so much easier. It makes it so much easier to make decisions, to win arguments. They always say, first you win the... Margaret Thatcher said, first you win the argument, the conversation, then you win the election. Well, it's time that we start winning the argument. We start winning the conversation. And the best way to do that is to eliminate the acceptance and the sanction of these people who think government should rule your life. I don't find that to be an acceptable state of living. I don't find the idea that we can exist in a society that does not allow freedom as the chief driver of ideas to be acceptable. Now, this conversation I had earlier today, of course, was started, as I said, with the drug argument. And I myself don't believe in drugs. I don't use them. I don't condone their use. I mean, I don't care what other people do with their bodies because, quite frankly, it makes me more competitive in the marketplace to not do drugs. And I believe it is sinful to dull my senses, to not live consciously. That is, to not live and think. I am, therefore I think. And when you end up getting high and stuff like that, you diminish your conscious capacity, which to me is a great, great sin. And it's a waste of your life. To me, the greatest thing a person can do is to think and be productive. And that is something every person, period, should be doing. Using their mind in the pursuit of productivity and productive work. Now, I don't mean arts and crafts, unless you're planning on selling those arts and crafts and making a living or something, but developing skills, sharpening your mind. So, of course, I myself am not a drug user, but I don't see any reason why the government should be allowed to tell you what you can and cannot put into your body. Now, if, like some people, you say, well, it's because it's dangerous. Drugs are dangerous. Well, let me pose this to you. How is it dangerous to you? If one person rolls up some bud into a joint, smokes it, how is that dangerous to you? Well, you're sitting on your couch listening to this, or sitting outside with a cigar and a scotch. It's not. It's not dangerous to you. That person sitting on a couch somewhere eating entirely too many waffles